Welcome back, everyone. I'm really excited because we have a mind blowing topic for you guys today. And it's something that I think will not only save you a couple of inches off of your waist, but also hundreds of dollars in your wallet. And that is determining the truth behind these supplement companies. How much protein is actually in a serving? So you go to any retailer or any store and you see a wide variety of different protein powders. For instance, you might see Dymatize Elite, which will run you about $80. You might see Allmax Isoflex, which is about $40. And if you go into any Walmart, you'll see their protein, which is called Body Fortress, and that'll run you about $20. So if you're someone on a budget or you're a high school or collegiate athlete, of course you're going to go to Walmart and get the $20 one. That's what I did when I was a college athlete. It says 60 grams of ultra pure protein. It says it's whey isolate. So that must be right. And unfortunately, we'll talk about it, that might not always be the case.
I'm not done yet, no matter how hard I train.
How long I train.
Or when I train. I'm not done until I finish it with EAS Myoplex. Taken within 30 minutes after my workout, the high-quality protein in Myoplex helps me refuel and build lean muscle. That way, I don't waste my workout. Now we're done.
So you see commercials like that all the time. But then you see a competitor's commercial and you have no idea which one to choose, right? Like this one from Six Star.
Build your best body with a whey protein formula so superior to regular protein, it's the only one called Six Star. Six Star Whey Protein Plus delivers absolutely amazing taste and powerful results. The core ingredients are proven to help build lean muscle and strength.
Science is great, but this is all the proof I need. Six Star Whey Protein Plus tastes great, and it really works.
Get Six Star Whey Protein Plus at fine retailers everywhere.
That was pretty funny when he said, "This is the only science I need," right? Meaning his physique. Well, in our industry, that's exactly what we call bro science, right? It's not real science. Like, yeah, you could look great, you can get your images redone, and people can play around with them on Photoshop and stuff like that, but that's not real science. And it's actually a fraud. It's fraud because it's cheating people of what is actually happening with that product. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in here as well. So some things has to be sketchy, right? We see dozens of different proteins ranging from $20 to $120. So there must be a reason for this discrepancy in price, or else people would just buy 6 of the $20 ones rather than just pay $120 for one. You get 6 for the price of one. So after all, protein is just protein, right? So why isn't that the case? And we'll find out. Before that, here's a quick little story about my old roommate, Jimmy. So Jimmy was an accounting major, and he came home one night and he was like, "Rye, like, I want to become the most jacked accountant in the world." I was like, "Jim, that's a great goal." I was like, "You know what? Tomorrow after I get home from work, like, we'll sit down, come up with a workout plan, nutrition plan, and we'll go to the store and get some supplements." He's like, "Oh, great, great, great." I get home later on that day, and unbeknown to me, Jimmy had already gone to GNC and met with this guy. And he went up to this guy and he's like, "I want to get huge, I want to get jacked." The guy goes, "I got the perfect supplement stack for you. It's going to make you gain 50 pounds of muscle. You'll lose and shred fat like it's melting off of your body." And Jimmy's like, "That's exactly what I want," right? So Jimmy's like, "All right, what is it? What product are you going to give me?" And he goes, "The new Arnold Iron Mass." Of course, everyone wants to look like Arnold, right? Take this protein, and these are the results you're going to get. So Jimmy came home that night with his 2 buckets of Arnold Iron Mass, I was like, Jim, no, 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 no. And then he tells me the story, and I'm like, this was my reaction. Oh no, Jim. Oh, please no. Right? I was upset. I was like, you really should have waited for me. You shouldn't have done that. Like, well, but you know, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna fix this. So luckily, we went back to GNC and exchanged it for a different protein. And the reason being is because there's something in the industry known as protein mislabeling. And it stems from this thing known as nitrogen spiking. So what happens when companies send away their proteins to get analyzed for their label claims is that the people who are analyzing the proteins test for nitrogen content. If we refer back to our protein lectures, we know that the thing that makes protein unique is that it contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So rather than testing for actual protein within the protein powder, or amino acids, all these companies do is test for the amount of nitrogen. It is a huge scam, a huge mislabeling effect, because in reality you could only have 5 grams of real protein in your product and throw in 15 grams of nitrogen containing compounds, and on the back of your label you can technically put 20 grams of protein, when in reality it's only 5. Huge, huge scam and fraud. It's fraud. It's ripping people off, and that's what we hope to express to you guys today. Again, so some of the basically what companies do is they spike their product with amino acids such as taurine, glycine, and glutamine, which really have no effect on muscle anabolism or muscle building. These are just fillers that basically go into the product, so when the companies get them tested out, they get a higher label claim for the amount of protein that's in their thing. And here's an example of this. This is Fusion Pro 6, and here's how you can look for it. So it says 25 grams of protein on the label. And if you look at the amino acid profile, you see 1.9 grams of leucine. Well, in reality, 25 grams of protein would be somewhere around 3 grams of leucine in reality. So if you come down to the ingredients down here, you'll see this magnum amino complex. You see L-glycine, creatine monohydrate, and L-leucine, isoleucine, and valine. So what this is telling you is that that's great that there's 25 grams of protein in there, but in actuality, it's not 25 grams of protein. It might be 20, it might be 15. So that's something to be aware of. So why is this important? Why does it make a difference that they're spiking it with nitrogen? What does that mean? Well, the key thing to remember is that protein synthesis is the main trigger for muscle growth and hypertrophy. And the reason most people consume protein, the reason that they're consuming these protein products, is to turn on that anabolic switch in order to synthesize new proteins. You need to turn on that switch for anabolism in order for you to build muscle, right? And this is kind of a depiction of that. So there seems to be this threshold that we need to hit for muscle protein synthesis, or the building, again, of muscle. And this threshold appears about 2 to 3 grams of leucine. So leucine is the trigger. So the important thing is, when you're picking out these products, look for how much leucine is in the product. For females or someone who's like maybe less than 150 pounds, 2 grams of leucine will be just enough. However, for larger males, they might, and bodybuilders and things like that, they might need 3 grams of leucine in order to maximize protein synthesis. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, this was a classic study done by Areta et al. In 2013, and they looked at the effects of 3 different whey protein feeding combinations. Basically, the first one, they had 8 servings of 10 grams of protein every 1.5 hours. They had an intermediate, which was 4 servings of 20 grams every 3 hours. And then they had a bolus, which was 2 servings of 40 grams every 6 hours. So over the entire day, they had the same amount of protein. They just distributed it differently. And here's what they found. On the left, you can see myofibrillar fractional synthetic rate, which is a measure, again, of protein synthesis. And if you look, the intermediate group, which again was 4 servings of 20 grams, was higher than both the bolus and the pulse. And if you think about this, it clearly makes sense, because again, if we go back to the protein synthesis threshold, the 10-gram one doesn't come close to hitting that threshold, so it's not turning on the switch. And if you look at the 40 grams, there seems to be no significant added benefit to consuming much more than is needed to turn on that switch. So they're only turning on the switch twice, the 40-gram group. Meanwhile, the intermediate group, who had 4 servings of 20 grams of protein spread out over the day, is turning on that switch 4 different times. So it's important to understand that we need to hit that threshold in order to turn on that switch. So we wanted to look into this. So a lot of companies mislead their consumers with how much protein is actually in their product. Whether they spike it with taurine, glycine, creatine, and things like that. So what we wanted to do was to investigate the reported versus the true amino acid of some of these companies' top 10 recommended, some of the top 10 protein companies in the world. So basically what we did was we selected a bunch of different proteins. And we purchased them from 2 different locations, had them analyzed at independent laboratories, and here's what we found. So remember that Body Fortress from Walmart? And this is preliminary data. That Body Fortress from Walmart, 72% of what they actually say on the label claim is protein. 72%. That's unbelievable, right? So you're getting 3/4, not even 3/4 of what they say is on the label. So say they say 20, you're not even getting 20 grams. You're getting 3/4 of that. 6 stars, even worse. Remember that commercial where the guy said, "Oh, this is all the science I need"? Well, look at this. 55% of what they say on the label is actually protein. Horrible. Horrible. So say they say 20 grams of protein per serving, you're only getting 10 grams. And we remember from that study, you're not going to turn on the switch. So a lot of people have been cheated, and they're buying these proteins, and they're not turning on the switch. It's giving them no further benefit. And it's very, very sad, and it's something that we hope to correct in the near future. Muscle Tech, 68%. 68%. But luckily, we have some companies like EAS. And the 2 companies that I will recommend are the 3 companies that I will recommend that I know test out are EAS, Dymatize Nutrition, and also Optimum Nutrition, their gold standard whey. All 3 of those test out. What they put on their label is actually what they do, and that's why they're a little bit more pricey. But in reality, you're going to have to spend 3 times the amount on one of the Walmart ones that's filled with all these nitrogen spikers in order to just get the same amount that you would get from 1 scoop of EAS, Dymatize, or Optimum. So this has a huge potential impact on the industry. We're going to continue this experiment and run it on a larger scale. And hopefully, our main thing is we want to educate the consumer so that college students and adults alike understand and are educated that they're getting scammed by some of these companies. And we want to let them know which ones are the real deal, which ones test out, and help them save some money and make it worthwhile. So we'll be in touch with some more results. Thank you guys, and we'll see you soon.